Of all the makeovers that I've done on this channel, I think I'm the most proud of this one. Hello you guys, and welcome to episode 3 and the final episode of our bathroom renovation. We have lots to do today. We're going to be doing wallpaper, we're going to be doing some styling. We have those mirrors up on the wall behind me. We're going to be putting together a gallery wall. There's going to be so many fun things that we're going to be incorporating into this space today and just adding in all of those finishing touches to really make this room feel cozy and finished. Like I said, this is episode 3, so there are 2 other episodes. So if you want to be caught up for this episode, I'll have both of those linked down below so you can watch those and then come on back and see us finish it all off today. So I think we're going to get started. I'm going to address the elephant in the room. These mirrors were not here in last episode. We just put those up. They are just these really simple round gold mirrors. And then we also added the hardware onto these cabinets. So we ended up going with something a little bit more modern looking. And then when we mix in those traditional elements with like styling pieces and things like that, I really think it's going to pull everything together and just be a really nice mix of both modern and traditional. So on this wall, we need to do the wallpaper. If I'm being honest, I have never done peel and stick wallpaper or just wallpaper in general on any sort of wall. So this is going to be a little bit of a learning experience. I did a little bit of research and I'm feeling pretty good about being able to put it up on our wall. So I'm gonna go collect some tools. There are a few things that I need to grab and then we will get started. So if you guys saw that first episode, you probably have already seen this wallpaper before. This is sort of what it's gonna look like. It's very sort of plant forward. It's very neutral. I think it's gonna add a nice amount of warmth, but then the slight contrast with the line work, I think it's gonna look really pretty. I don't think it's gonna be too busy either. So first things first, I need to measure how wide this is and then make a level line with that measurement from the wall to where the wallpaper is going to end. That way I start with a level line. They always say that the first piece is the most important, so I'm going to try to take my time on this. And it's good to start with a level line that you make yourself because most of the time walls and ceilings are not perfectly 90 degrees, they're not perfectly straight. So starting with that straight line, starting with that level line is going to be incredibly helpful. It's like 20 and 1/16. Bracket is perfectly right in my way. And I can't take it down because it's spring loaded because these aren't in studs. Okay, hold that in that corner. I'm gonna measure this.
I bet it's like 98.
How'd you know that? 98 and a half. So it'd be 45 and a quarter, so stay there.
I didn't say that.
45 plus 45 is 90, and if it's 98, that would be 49 and a quarter. I was like, that ain't the middle. Okay, so the last time you guys saw me, I was putting up the wallpaper on this wall. Long story short, it took a very long time to get up on the actual wall itself, and then when we tried to pull it off of the wall, it peeled off all of our paint. So I'll insert a picture of what it did. Basically, it damaged our wall so bad that I had to patch it with joint compound, and then I had to sand over it and then apply primer. It's been a long road to get to where we are, so I decided to go a little bit of a different route. And you may notice I have a bunch of paint supplies ready to go. So essentially I decided to still do a wallpaper effect. I really want some sort of pattern, some sort of texture on this wall. So I decided to do a similar technique to what you guys may have seen me do in my craft room, except this time I'm not going to be making the stencil. I ordered one that I'll be sharing with you in just a minute, but I ended up picking up this paint from Sherwin-Williams. It is the color Accessible Beige, but it's just this really pretty beigey color. You guys know sometimes I have a really tough time with paint. This time it was the first try, so pretty proud of that, but we need to get this up on the wall. So we're gonna do 2 coats of it. I think it's really gonna bring in a lot of warmth in here, and then I'll show you guys our stencil. Guys, this paint color could not have turned out any better. It's so beautiful. It's a perfect sort of grayish color if you want a beige, but it's not too warm, and it really just brings a little bit of depth to this space. And now that we have the base for our faux wallpaper, it's time to bring in our stencil. So this is the stencil that I was talking to you guys about. There's sort of like this black piece of paper so that you can see what it actually looks like, but I absolutely love this. It has so many intricate details. I love the floral design. It's definitely more of a traditional touch than what we were initially planning to go for, which I feel like is going to balance this room out perfectly, make it nice and warm, inviting, serene. I just feel like this is going to look so beautiful. But before we actually put this on the wall, I do want to get like a big piece of cardboard and just sort of map out how I'm supposed to do this, because it kind of looks like it's supposed to overlap a little bit. So I just kind of want to get comfortable with it before I start. And also the paint that we're going to be using to put it on the wall is actually just the pearly white that we have on the rest of the walls. So if you want the look of wallpaper, but maybe you don't want to pay that price, or you don't want to deal with actual peel and stick or actual wallpaper, I feel like this could be a really good route to go. So many different patterns and things to choose from. So if that's something you're looking for, I feel like this could be a really good option. Using this stencil is actually fairly simple. I think trying it out a few times before you actually put it on your wall is actually very helpful as well. But essentially with this stencil in particular, each of the 4 corners has an identical flower. So you'll see that whenever I pick up this stencil to move on to the next one, it actually does overlap a little bit because you line up the 2 corners with the previous flowers that are in the corner of the previous one, if that makes sense. And this was actually really nice because I didn't really need to use a level when I was putting it on the wall. It also made the design look very seamless and even more like wallpaper. I was kind of afraid there were going to be a bunch of gaps or that you could see the individual squares of the stencil, but this actually worked out perfectly. So I did 3 stencils, that way I could see how it connects vertically as well as horizontally, and it's actually just the same thing. So super easy, and also the design itself was very crisp. It picked up on pretty much all of the details. So once I was happy with that, I moved to our actual wall. Of course, it is a little different given that it is a vertical surface rather than just being a flat surface sitting on a table. So I used some painter's tape to hold up the stencil while I painted painted over it. I found that working in lighter layers rather than putting essentially big globs of paint on there was the best way to preserve the details of the stencil. But also keep in mind, because gravity isn't really working in your favor when it's laying flat, it's not going to sit perfectly flat on that wall, which can cause a little bit of bleeding. However, having each square not be exactly the same actually made it a lot more whimsical and fun. So if irregularities don't bother you, I think this could be a good technique as well. One more thing I wanted to say about this technique is if you plan on doing this to a wall that's quite a bit bigger than my own, I would definitely recommend getting multiple. Pretty much every single time that you paint over this, another layer of paint dries onto the stencil, and slowly but surely all of the little impressions, all of the little holes sort of start to cave in. I cleaned it off as best I could as I went on with the process, but if you want a consistent design all the way through, I would definitely recommend getting a couple backups just to make sure you can get through the whole wall. With stencils, you usually run into a point where you need to sort of fill in all of those edges. So if you're like me and you're trying to make a stencil like this look like a full sheet of wallpaper, look completely continuous and authentic, you usually need to figure out a way to sort of fill in those gaps. So yesterday I did all of the full sheets that I could. I was able to get above the cabinet and around the mirrors. I was able to get probably 80 to 85% of this all done. So this is the state of my stencil from yesterday. I was able to get some of the paint and stuff off, but it is pretty bendy and like flexible, so I'm hoping I'll be able to just sort of put it in the places and use my paintbrush to fill in. I'm also not afraid to just grab one of my small paintbrushes and sort of fill in some shapes if for some reason we can't get it up against a cabinet or up against a corner, whatever the case is. Another option is you could cut this up. I'm hoping that I don't need to, just so I don't lose any of those details, but that is an option because for 99% of us, when you get a stencil and you want to do a wallpaper technique, it is not made custom for your wall, so it's not going to fit perfectly. So this is the plan. I think I'm going to start with the bigger pieces first. That way if I do need to cut it up later, it's not as big of a deal and we can kind of get those bigger parts out of the way. This accent wall turned out absolutely beautiful. It's exactly what I was envisioning and exactly what I thought that this room needed. I feel like it just brings in so much warmth, lots of texture, and I'm just obsessed with this pattern, how whimsical it is, but also leans into that more traditional warm side. I feel like it just adds so much to this wall, especially when we put the mirrors back on. And we also just swapped out the faucets for some brass ones. That way it sort of matches the mirrors, and I love the way these look. It's a good mix of modern and traditional, and I love the neck of these faucets. I think it just looks stunning. And now we're getting into the finishing stages. We have some decor that we can start putting up. I want to hang up some frames, but I also want to add a little bit of lighting to this space. So a big thank you to Hymela for sponsoring this portion of today's video. They sent me these beautiful battery operated wall sconces. Hymela is a high quality lighting brand who has served over 5 million customers worldwide, and their goal is to create home lights to make a warm and comfortable home for any space. If you guys have been around for a while, you know that I love my warm lighting. I love a wonderful cozy ambiance, and that's exactly what Hymela can offer. They have all different kinds of lighting options. Of course, they have sconces, which I'm going to be showing you today. They also have pendant lights, lamps, and just so many things to choose from on their website. And all of these lighting options are super unique. You're not going to be able to find them anywhere else. You can get so many different looks for so many different styles of your home. So even if your style isn't exactly like mine, you can still find something beautiful for your home that you absolutely love. So Hymela actually sent me 2 of these beautiful lampshade sconces. I love the metal base as well as the brass accents and the fabric shade. It also comes with a light bulb that's a nice warm light. And like I said, it's battery operated. So no hard wiring, which is perfect. I'm not an electrician and you don't have to be to install these lights. So when you receive your light in the mail, it'll come with a battery pack, and it comes with a little cord that you can plug into any sort of USB. And once it's fully charged, all you do is you plug it into the wire in the back. It has this magnetic attachment, that way it just sort of sits in there, and the battery is supposed to have up to 15 hours of charge when it is fully charged. I love that feature because this light is going to be super easy to take off the wall, charge up the battery really quick, and then just pop it back in whenever it's ready. And Hymela was kind enough to give me a couple codes for you guys to get some of these lights for yourself for a discount on their entire site. All you have to do is use the link in my description box down below and use the code BA11 at checkout. That'll give you 11% off of the whole entire site. They also have their products listed on Amazon. All you have to do is use that link in the description box down below and use the code 11Brooke to get 11% off. So I'm trying to figure out where I wanted to add that cozy, warm lighting in this space. I thought about it for a little while. There's definitely a few different places I could have put them, but I'm thinking the perfect place to hang one of these would be right here in the middle of our 2 mirrors. I did get 2 just in case because I had so many different ways that I wanted to incorporate them into this space. You could even put them on either side of your 2 mirrors, or if you just have 1 mirror, you could do 1 on either side. But I do have quite a few ideas for where the other one could go in my home. So I just love how versatile they are and just how easy and effortless that this is. Something that I also love about their products is it actually comes with a template to put your light on the wall. That way you don't actually have to do any measuring. You just need to find the center of your wall or wherever you want to put it, and then you just use the template to figure out exactly where you need to put your screws. And then from there, it's just a press of a button, and then you get that cozy ambiance that you can add to anywhere in your home. I absolutely love how the sconce transformed my space, made it nice and cozy, and really went with the theme of the rest of the room. And again, a huge thank you to Hymela for sending me these sconces. I am so excited to use the other one in a different area of my space. It's really just making this whole entire room come together. But with our sconce up, we now just have a few more finishing touches I want to work on with you. I want to hang up a few more things, make a gallery wall, and this whole entire space will be completely done. So the reason I didn't end up putting sconces on either side of both of the mirrors to sort of frame out this area is because I knew that I had these towel hooks. So they're just these very simple black hooks that I just want to put right here, and it's going to coordinate really well with the sconce, and again just really frame everything together. In an attempt to try to keep this counter space as clutter-free as possible, I think getting your towels hung up is the best way to do that. That way you can maximize your counter space, whether you have a really big vanity or a small vanity. You may be seeing these pieces of tape here. This top one is where old towel hooks used to be, so they used to be roughly in this area. Because we just filled in this wall and made it nice and smooth, I want to make sure that we're drilling holes into a different space. So the first thing I'm going to do is measure how far up this piece of tape goes and then mirror it on the other side. Wall's looking quite put together, so I think we can now move on to this wall. I want to do something a little bit simple, but I also want to incorporate some frames, some warmth, lots of natural elements. So I do have a few things that I want to play with just to make a little mini statement here. I want your eye to be drawn to this, but I do want them to sort of complement each other, if that makes sense. So I have a few frames. I have a gold one that I got from an antique sale. I picked up this brown one from a garage sale, and then I have this sort of pressed floral frame. It's so pretty. I love all of the details, and then it has the jute string at the very top. So I just want to figure out a way that I can arrange these just to make a little statement above our towel rack. It is the last day of this makeover. I am so excited to bring this space to life with you. The sunlight is just starting to pour through the window. It's super cozy in here, and I'm just so ready to finally bring this whole entire vision to fruition. I feel like I've definitely been dreaming about it for so long. So today we're going to be decorating and putting the final touches on this space. So I've got a hot cup of coffee in hand as well as a bunch of decor, so let's go ahead and get started. So even before this whole entire room came together, I already had a few different things stockpiled in my stash that I've just sort of been collecting, on the lookout for over the past couple months. But this is the only area that I've sort of daydreamed about and sort of had a plan for. You may notice that I put the sconce up quite high. That's because I have a plan to sort of create some height and add a little bit of visual interest to this space. So the main thing that's going to do that for us is this old ladder. Actually, I think this might be like part of an old chair or something, but it sort of looks like a mini ladder, and I think it's super cute. There's actually cobweb on it, so let me get that. But essentially I got this at an antique barn sale for like $5, and I just thought it was so cute. I think for the holiday season, or maybe when we decorate for fall or something, we can hang something really cute from here, like a towel or just like a decorative piece of fabric, whatever it is, just to sort of be a fun little statement. So I'm going to place that a little bit to the left, and then to balance that out, I do have this little vase. I love the black handles, and the size of it is perfect just to sort of complement the ladder but not take away from it, if that makes sense. Because we did have a bigger black vase that looks very similar to this. I actually went and got a different one because we needed a specific small one for this area. And then to put in the vase, I have some of my favorite greenery stems, because green is going to be the main color that I'm going to be incorporating into this space. lastly, this really cute jasmine candle that I found at the thrift store. It is actually hard to believe that we started where we started. This room looks entirely different. It used to be plain and it used to have that oak wood, and now we have dark tones in our cabinets. We have a beautiful wallpaper accent wall, warm lighting, greenery. It is just such a serene, beautiful space. It truly is probably my favorite room in the whole house. Of all the makeovers that I've done on this channel, I think I'm the most proud of this one. I am just so incredibly happy with this space. I stare at it all the time because I'm just so obsessed. That is officially the end of this bathroom renovation series. It is crazy that we are already here, and also at the same time it feels so great to just sort of put this 2-month process at a close. Again, if you missed any of those episodes, I will have that linked down below, and another reminder to check out those hymela links that I have down below, as well as those discount codes. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite part of this whole entire space was. I have so many different parts of this room that I love. But anyway, thank you so much for spending some time with me on my channel today. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Bye, guys.